Hello, good evening, and welcome to next story on our series from collected short stories of Ruskin Bond. And today's story is titled The Good Old Days. It starts like this. I took Miss Mackenzie an offering of a tin of Malabar sardines, and so lessened the sharpness of her rebuke. Another doctor's visit, is it? She said, looking reproachfully at me over her spectacles. I might have been dead all this time. Miss Mackenzie, at 85, did not show the least signs of dying. She was the oldest resident of the hill station. She lived in a small cottage halfway up a hill. The cottage, like Longfellow's village of Attry, gave one the impression of having tried to get to the top of the hill but failed halfway up. It was hidden from the road by oaks and maples. I've been away, I explained. I had to go to Delhi for a fortnight. I hope you have been all right. So, I wasn't a relative of Miss Mackenzie's, nor a very old friend, but she had the knack of making people feel they were somehow responsible for her. I can't complain. The weather's been good, and the padre sent me some eggs, she said. She set great store on what was given to her in the way of food. Her pension of 40 rupees a month only permitted a diet of dal and rice. But the thoughtfulness of people who knew her and the occasional gift parcel from England lent variety to her diet and frequently gave her a topic of conversation. I'm glad you have some eggs, I said. They are 4 rupees a dozen now. Yes, I know. And there was a time when they were only 6 annas a dozen. About 30 years ago, I suppose, I said. No, 25 years ago, I remember. Miss Taylor's eggs were always the best. She lived in Fairville, the old house near the Raja's estate. Did she have a poultry farm? Oh no, just her own hens. Very ordinary hens too. Not white leghorns or Rhode Island red, but they gave lovely eggs. She knew how to keep her birds healthy. May Taylor was a friend of mine. She didn't supply eggs to just anybody, you know. Oh, naturally not. Miss Taylor's dead now, I suppose. Oh, yes, quite dead. Her sister saw to that. Oh, I sensed a story. How did that happen? Well, it was a bit of a mystery, really. May and Charlotte never did get on with each other, and it's a wonder they agreed to live together. Even as children, they used to fight. But Charlotte was always the spoilt one, prettier, you see. May, when I knew her, was 35. A good woman, if you know what I mean. She saw to the house and saw to the meals, and she went to church like other respectable people, and everyone liked her. But Charlotte was moody and bad-tempered. She kept to herself, always had done since the parents died, and she was a little too fond of the bottle. Neither of them was married, I queried. No, I suppose that's why they live together, though I'd rather live alone myself than put up with someone disagreeable. Still, they were sisters. Charlotte had been a gay young thing once, very popular with the soldiers at the convalescent home. She refused several offers of marriage, and then when she thought it time to accept someone, there were no more offers. She was almost 30 by then. That's when she started drinking, heavily, I mean. Gin and brandy mostly. It was cheap in those days. Gin, I think, was 2 rupees a bottle. What fun! I was born a gentle generation too late, and a good thing too. Or you would have probably ended up as Charlotte did. Did she get delirium tremens? She did nothing of that sort. Charlotte had a strong constitution. And so have you, Miss Mackenzie. If you don't mind my saying so, I take a drop when I can afford it. She gave me a meaningful look, or when I'm offered. Did you sometimes have a drink with Miss Taylor? I did not. I wouldn't have been seen in her company. All over the place she was when she was drunk, lost her powers of discrimination. She even took up with a barber, and then she fell down a khud or something one evening and broke her ankle. Lucky it wasn't her head. No, it wasn't her own head she broke. More is a pity, but her sister Mary's, the poor sweet thing. She broke her sister's head, did she? I was intrigued. Why did Mary find out about the barber? Nobody knows what it was, but it may well have been something like that. Anyway, they had a terrible quarrel one night. Charlotte was drunk, and May, as usual, was admonishing her. Fatal, I said, never admonish a drunk. Miss Mackenzie ignored me and carried on. She said something about the vengeance of God falling on Charlotte's head. But it was May said that was rent asunder. Charlotte flew into a sudden rage. She was given to these outbursts even when sober, and brought something heavy down on May's head, skull. Charlotte never said what it was. It couldn't have been a bottle unless she swept up the broken pieces afterwards. It may have been a heavy, what writers sometimes call a blunt instrument. When Charlotte saw what she had done, she went out of her mind. They found her 2 days after later wandering around near some ruins, babbling a lot of nonsense about how she might have been married long ago if May hadn't clung to her. Was she charged with murder? No, it was all hushed up. Charlotte was sent to the asylum at Ranchi. We never heard of her again. May was buried here. If you visit the old cemetery, you will find her grave on the second tier, third from the left. I'll look it up sometime. It must have been an awful shock for those of you who knew the sisters. Oh, yes, I was quite upset about it. I was very fond of May, and then, of course, the chickens were sold, and I had to buy my eggs elsewhere, and they were never so good. Still, those were the days, the good old days when eggs were 6 annas a dozen, and gin only 2 rupees a bottle. That's the story. Then this is another very little story. I'll continue that. Death of the trees. The peace and quiet of Maplewood hillside disappeared forever one winter. The powers that be decided to build another new road into the mountains, and the PWD saw fit to take it right past the cottage, about 6 feet from the large window which had overlooked the forest. In my journal, I wrote, already they have felled most of the trees. The walnut was one of the first to go, a tree I had lived with for over 10 years, watching it grow just as I had watched Prem's little son Rakesh grow up. Looking forward to its new leaf buds, the broad green leaves of summer turning into spears of gold in September, when the walnuts were ripe and ready to fall, I knew this tree better than the others. It was just below the window where a buttress for the road is going up. Another tree I'll miss is the young Devdar. the only one growing up in this stretch of the woods. Some years back, it was stunted from lack of sunlight. The oaks covered it with their shaggy branches, so I cut away some of the overhanging branches, and after that, the devda grew much faster. It was just coming into its own this year, now cut down in its prime, like my young brother on the road to Delhi last month. Both victims of the roads, the tree killed by the PWD, my brother by a truck. 20 oaks have been felled just in this small stretch near the cottage. By the time this bypass reaches Jabarket, about 6 miles from here, over 1,000 oaks will have been slaughtered, besides many other fine trees, maples, devdars, pines, most of them unnecessarily, as they grow some 50 to 60 yards from the roadside. The trouble is, hardly anyone, with the exception of the contractor who buys the felled trees, really believes the trees and shrubs are necessary. They get in the way so much, don't they? According to my milkman, the only useful tree is one which can be picked clean of its leaves for fodder. And a young man remarked to me, "You should come to Pauri. The view is terrific. There are no trees in the way." Well, he can stay here now and enjoy the view of the ravaged hillside. But as the oaks have gone, the milkman will have to look further afield for fodder. Rakesh calls the maples the butterfly trees because when the winged seeds fall, they flutter like butterflies in the breeze. No maples now, no bright red leaves to flame against the sky, no birds. That is to say, no birds near the house. No longer will it be possible for me to open the window and watch the scarlet minvets flitting through the dark green foliage of the oaks, the long-tailed magpies gliding through the trees, the barber calling insistently from its perch on top of the devdar, forest birds, all of them, they will now be in search of some other stretch of surviving forest. The only visitors will be the crows who have learned to live with and off humans and seem to multiply along with roads, houses, and people. And even when all the people have gone, the crows will still be around. Other things to look forward to: trucks thundering past in the night, perhaps a tea and a pakoda shop around the corner, the grinding of gears, the music of motor horns. Will the whistling thrush be heard above them? The explosions that continually shatter the silence of the mountains as 1,000-year-old rocks are dynamited have frightened away all but most interpret of birds and animals. Even the bold langurs haven't shown their faces for over a fortnight. Somehow, I don't think we shall wait for the tea shop to arrive. There must be some other quiet corner, possibly on the next mountain, where new roads have yet to come into being. No doubt, this is a negative attitude, and if I had any sense, I would open my own tea shop. To retreat is to be a loser, but the trees are losers too, and when they fall, they do so with a certain dignity. Never mind. Men come and go, mountains remain. That's the story. I think that's two stories for today. Thank you.